All right, what is up, everybody? So, in today's video, I'm going over something that is so key to my trading. Without volume, I would not be able to take the trades that I take. I would not be able to have an 80% win rate like I do. I would not be able to profit like I do without using volume. But I'm going to be going over the exact indicator that I use for volume that you can use as well in your trading. Now, if you are someone who is sitting there stuck saying, well, I take these trades and they look like they're a valid setup, but then they end up just hitting my stop loss and I don't know why. I know why. It is most likely because you are not using volume and you may not be using volume properly or correctly. So I'm going to be teaching you how to actually incorporate volume into your trading like a real trader. So anyways, let's get right on into it. All right, so we're going to be talking about why using volume is so important in trading. Without volume, my win rate would be a lot less. And without volume, I would be all over the place with my trading, and it would be hard to actually narrow down what setups work best and what setups are going to have the highest probability of working out. So if you're someone who's kind of stuck right now, who's thinking, my trades are losing and I don't know why, I feel like my strategy works for me and I'm just missing another piece, you need to be using volume in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to go through a couple of the volume indicators. The one that I personally use, my favorite indicator for volume, the one that I believe works the best. And we're going to get into that, but you need to be using volume. So let's go right ahead. So using volume with options trading is extremely important. So the volume is the number of shares or contracts traded during a given time, and it shows you the conviction behind price moves, which is absolutely critical for confirming any of your setups. Now, why does volume matter in options? So options contracts lose value over time because of theta. So you need moves with strength. You need moves that are going to give you a nice move up. So a support or resistance break without volume often fails. And why is that? Because of false breakouts. We often see wicks up into levels. We think we're getting a breakout. And then what happens? Price quickly reverses right in our face after we take our entry. And we're like, whoa, why did that happen? Probably because you weren't checking volume. It's probably what happened. But anyways, so a move with strong volume usually runs further, giving your contracts the best chance to pay you, which is the most important part of this. So just quickly going over some core volume indicators that you can use. These two are not my favorites, personally. But we have raw volume, which is the histogram at the bottom. A lot of you guys see this. If you open up your trading view chart or any charts that you use, you'll see this little histogram. The tall bars are strong participation. The small ones are weak volume, weak participation. So you can use it to whether confirm your level is truly being respected or broken. And then all you have to look up is raw volume on TradingView to find it, and I will explain to you why I don't like this indicator. It actually really doesn't give you that much clarity into how much volume is currently being traded. And then you also have relative volume, which is better than raw volume, but still not my favorite. So it compares today's volume to the average volume, which is helpful for figuring out if you shouldn't be trading in that zone because maybe there's just lower volume. You're not going to have a lot of strong conviction plays. So if relative volume is greater than 1, that's more activity than usual, more volume, that's giving you stronger conviction. Great for momentum plays, great for breakouts, but again, not my favorite. Now, my personal favorite is going to be the visible range volume profile. So it automatically calculates and displays what volume distribution across all the candles currently visible on your chart screen. So if you're in the 5-minute time frame, it'll show you the volume currently for all those candles presented in the 5-minute time frame, as you could see. And before I continue, if you want to add this to your chart, again, this is my favorite indicator for volume. Look up visible range volume profile on TradingView. You might have to have at least the essential plan for TradingView. I don't believe this is completely free, which I'm sorry about. I don't think any visible range volume profile indicator is free on any platform, unfortunately, but I believe TradingView is like $15. a month or so. I could be incorrect about that, but I am pretty sure about that. So again, what it's showing you is the exact volume, and if you actually hover over these little bars, which I'll show you a real example on my trading view, if you hover over these little bars, it'll show you up in this corner what the actual number is of volume, and is there greater selling volume or buying volume, which is extremely important. So that's the main reason I like to use visible range volume profile. It's literally right in my face showing me there's more sellers here or there's more buyers here. And it's very, very helpful for figuring out your key levels and key zones. Because if you just have a random line and you're like, well, a couple candles have tapped here and I think this counts as a level, but then you go to volume and volume's like, there ain't no volume at that level, there's no conviction, then that's obviously not a key level, and that's obviously not a level that is going to be respected. So once you move into higher time frames, the volume will also change according to whatever time frame you're in, how many candles are on your chart, yada yada yada, and I will show you guys. So same thing as volume by price, which is a different indicator, same exact indicator, but I'll explain that. So low volume nodes, point of control, and then it updates dynamically as you pan out or zoom. So you're going to get these little lines, and this line right here in the middle is called the point of control. That's the highest volume for this time frame that you're looking in. And if you zoom out, you'll get a broader profile. If you zoom in, you'll see micro profile, minutes, hours. Perfect use cases for spotting contextual support resistance zones without manually selecting ranges, and it adapts automatically to what you're looking at, which is basically what I went over. Now, this is the real indicator that I use on my platform called TrendSpider. Now, I don't ever recommend anyone using TrendSpider because it's really expensive and there's no reason. You can just use TradingView for much cheaper. I mean, I just like the fancy shit for no reason. No, there's a lot of helpful tools on here. So if you are a more advanced trader, I would recommend TrendSpider for you. But if you're still a beginner, use TradingView. No reason to get a fancy charting platform. But volume by price is your fixed range volume profile. So it shows you how much trading volume occurred at each level over a fixed range of candles. So you actually have to draw this out. It's over, the last 50 bars, the last 2 weeks, or just a selected area. So it doesn't change like the visible range volume profile. This one you actually have to kind of manually select. So it tells you where the biggest transactions happen, highest volume, where price move quickly with little volume. These zones act as support resistance. So it's just like our visible range volume profile, just slightly different. So the difference between visible range volume profile and volume by price is that the only real difference is that volume by price, you pick the start and the end of your volume, but the visible range volume profile is automatic. It's based on where you select your time frames. And they're both great. They both work really well. And personally, though, volume by price is going to be better for back testing, marking out exact zones, and all of that good stuff. But visible range is going to be best for looking at intraday context. So how do you apply volume to options trading? Now, I tie in my volume to support resistance trading with supply demand zones, as you guys already know, with my 3 different entry models. If you watch my YouTube videos, you already know what those are. But how it looks is, let's say, for example, I'm looking for a bounce at a key support level, and there's also a demand zone there. What I'm going to look for to confirm that move is buyers stepping in. So I want to see volume rising, and I want to see more buyers than sellers starting to come in at that key level. If I don't see that, but the setup is still forming, I'm not even going to take that trade, because that is showing me price may be trying to fake out some traders there. So why would I take that? I'm not going to, and vice versa. At a resistance level, if I'm looking for a reject, I want to see sellers start to come in, and I want to see buyers start to step out and price start to move down further. If I see more buyers than sellers at a key resistance level, but we're showing a reject, I'm not going to take the reject, because obviously price is trying to fake me out. So for breakouts and breakdowns, you want to see high volume breakout above a resistance level. You want to see a lot of buyers coming in, because if you don't see that and you're just trading a straight up breakout, you're going to get faked out 1000%. Now, for a breakdown or a break from a support level, you want to see lots of sellers starting to come in. But if you have low volume or you're just not seeing the conviction there, that is going to be a fake out. I can almost guarantee it. And that's where you might be messing up in your trading, is not including volume. So if volume fades while you're in profit, you want to consider scaling out, closing some of your position, maybe leaving a couple runners. And if there's a surge in the opposite volume and the other side that you're not trading, that's a warning sign. You probably want to step out, which this also helps you a ton as well. Keeps you from guessing, keeps you from, thinking that your trade is just going to be awesome. But in reality, you actually have to understand and know that your trade is not just going to magically take profit. You're going to have to protect your gains and protect that trade. And volume is the exact way to do it. So I'll show you real quick on the chart. Actually, we have an example, first of all. So we have this low volume area up here, and this is just volume by price zoomed out. So we have lots of low volume up here at a key resistance area where we were breaking out of with this little candle wick. So a lot of people would think, okay, we're getting a breakout. I'm going to enter calls here. I'm going to go for it. No, we got a lot of low volume, and this would actually be a perfect reject because we have that low volume there. So that's a perfect sign of where you might get stuck in thinking that we have a breakout, but price quickly reverses on you and trends downwards. So this right here is a perfect key example, but I'll show you on the actual chart. Actually, I will show you guys with the real trade that I took recently. So I took some MSTR puts, and we do have a key level at this 270 area. So I was trading that reject at 270 after we got a bearish displacement candle. Now, up at this area, we were also showing that there were more buyers and sellers in the smaller time frame. But if we go out to the hourly time frame, there we go. We go to the hourly time frame using the visible range volume profile. We actually see a lot more sellers. Oh, goodness. I just messed that all up. It's okay, though. So at this 270 area, as you can see in the top corner, right up there, we actually have over 60K more sellers than buyers within that specific time frame at that specific level, giving me strong conviction that we got sellers here. And that is not where I took the trade. I took the trade right up there. So entered that trade, and we also, as you could obviously see, we don't have much volume up at this area either, which is another telling sign. And as you could see, volume will move with you as well on this visible range volume profile indicator. And then we have this little line here, and that is showing us the point of the control, point of the most volume traded within this one session right here at 266. So that is just showing you for an example of how I trade using it, why it is so helpful to me, why it's so useful. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to get in my Discord, the link is in bio. It is now open again to just join. So if you want to do class sessions with me, talk to me personally, get help from me, make sure to join. But anyways, I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and check out this other video right here where I'm going over more about my strategy. And anyways, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos.